New footage of Keegan Bradley and Scottie Scheffler is going viral, and it's shaking the entire golf world. What was meant to stay behind locker room doors just exploded into the sport's biggest controversy ever.
I definitely made a mistake on the course setup. I should have listened a little bit more to my intuition, and we for whatever reason that wasn't the right way to set the course up. We didn't expect the greens to be this soft. We tried to set the course up to help our team. Obviously, it wasn't the right decision. I think anytime you're the leader of a team, or you're the captain or the coach or whatever, we talked about this last night, you have to take. You're going to get the accolades, and you need to take the blame for when things don't go.
But trust me, there's way more behind this clip than anyone's admitting. And today, I'm breaking down the truth behind all this chaos and the viral shockwave. X was on fire. Hashtags flying everywhere and the creatively cruel ones trending worldwide. It turned into the kind of internet storm golf hadn't seen since the Patrick Reed family drama days. But this time, it wasn't a sideshow, it was the main event. The clip starts off calm, almost too calm. Bradley's in a dimly lit room, golf polos, face wrinkled with pressure, part captain, part confessor. He leans in, voice shaking just a bit, saying, "Scottie carried the weight of the world out there. It should have sounded noble, maybe even inspiring. But instead, it felt like a man trying to convince himself he did the right thing."
You got to make a decision on what to do, and if I could go back, I probably would have changed that. But the Europeans played just incredible golf. Doesn't matter how you set the course up when you play that well and you perform at that high level. I mean, that's as high of a level as a Ryder Cup team has ever played on for those 2 days, I think. And when that happens, they just beat.
Minutes later, golf Twitter split right down the middle. Half the crowd crowned Bradley a leader, the other half called it damage control gone wrong. Class act, captain with compassion, ride or die energy, that's what one side called him. But the other half, they said he looked like a man auditioning for Crisis PR Sports Edition. One viral post hit hard. He's not defending Scottie, it said. He's defending himself. Then came the conspiracy storm. Wild, messy, and way too entertaining to ignore. Some swore the footage was an official PGA recording, secretly spliced and leaked by an insider. Others claimed it came straight from a player's phone, filmed without consent. And one anonymous Reddit user, they said it was a European psyop. At that point, the truth didn't even matter. Only the story did. And that story, it was explosive. As golf journalists dissected every single frame, something eerie began to unfold. Golf, the sport once wrapped in etiquette and calm, suddenly looked raw, human, and straight up emotional. It felt less like Augusta's fairways and more like reality TV drama gone wild. Rory McIlroy and Ian Poulter, always ready to stir the pot, dropped cryptic posts about truth revealing itself in defeat. Translation: they were eating this chaos up. By sunset, TikToks, fan edits, and memes flooded the internet. That one line, "Scottie carried the weight of the world," became golf Twitter's version of "we were on a break." It wasn't just a scandal anymore, it was an awakening. A full-on Bethpage breakdown.
I am absolutely gobsmacked at how bad Scottie Scheffler is in the Ryder Cup. But I am absolutely more gobsmacked at how bad a captain Keegan Bradley is. I honestly thought Keegan Bradley was going to be such a good captain, but he is awful. And so much awful that he's picked Scottie Scheffler to drag Bryson DeChambeau down this afternoon in the Sunday four balls. It's just madness.
Bethpage Black was supposed to be America's redemption arc, the fortress where pride and power would finally silence Europe once and for all. Instead, Bethpage turned into the burial ground for Team USA's confidence. The crowd came roaring with chants and flags but left whispering, "What happened?" Day one marked the start of the unraveling. Scottie Scheffler, the unshakable world number one, teamed up with Russell Henley in what was supposed to be an unbeatable duo. But golf, the cruel poet it is, had other plans. Rory McIlroy and Tommy Fleetwood tore them apart with surgical precision. Every time Scottie's ball hit the rough, the air got heavier, like everyone could feel it slipping away. Cheers turned hesitant, confidence cracked, and swagger faded fast. By the back nine, those loud New York roars had gone quiet, replaced by the sound of golf's own funeral march. Keegan Bradley tried to keep it positive, saying, "Scottie's our anchor," after the round, but that smile looked shakier than a two-legged chair. "He just wants to win for the team," he added, and sure, it sounded noble until the losses started stacking up. Their second match, this time with Colin Morikawa, ended the same way. Another painful defeat. Suddenly, the mighty American machine was breaking down right in front of everyone's eyes. And then came that moment. The comment now burned into history through that leaked video. Bradley, reflecting on day one's chaos, quietly muttered, "We set it up for ourselves and ended up helping them." Fans jumped on it instantly. The Americans had softened the greens to boost their power game, but the plan backfired spectacularly, giving Europe the perfect edge in short game finesse. It wasn't just bad strategy, it was straight up poetic self-sabotage. By the end of day 2, the scoreboard showed Europe up 5-3, but the real story was written all over Scottie's face. Blank, drained, haunted. His shoulders slumped like a man crushed under the weight of not just his team, but the myth of his own invincibility. The internet wasted no time. Timelines exploded with memes comparing Prime Scottie to Ryder Cup Scottie. Golf, a sport usually wrapped in politeness, had finally found its villain and its tragedy, and both happened to be wearing the same American uniform. Captain Keegan Bradley's leadership was never meant to look like this. Trembling hands, watery eyes, and TikTok edits set to sad piano tracks. But that's exactly what the leaked footage showed. The once confident captain now looked like a man trying to stop a flood with a sand wedge. The clip carried a raw honesty, almost too real to watch. Bradley recalled a quiet talk with Russell Henley. "Scottie was more worried about me than himself." That line hit social media like a confession of guilt. Fans wanted to see it as heartfelt, a captain protecting his players. But the analysts weren't fooled. "He's not defending Scottie," one pundit snapped. "He's defending his own decisions." Every press conference from that week now feels like one long, slow-motion apology. Bradley kept praising Europe's composure, dodging every question about team chemistry, and repeating lines like, "We fought hard." But the exhaustion gave him away. His words weren't rehearsed anymore. They were spilling out from a man trying to defend something that was already gone. Then came the now iconic shot from the leaked clip. Bradley leaning back, sighing and whispering, "Sometimes the pressure just eats you alive." It wasn't meant for the world to hear, but it became the defining quote of the entire collapse. Within hours, the internet turned it into meme gold. Screenshots captioned, "Me after trying to be productive for 10 minutes." Still, buried beneath all the chaos, there was a strange kind of dignity in Bradley's breakdown. He didn't lash out or point fingers. He spoke like a man trying to make sense of the wreckage. Through it all, he kept showing up for his team, saying of Scottie, even when the world thought he was done, it was vulnerable, it was messy, and it went completely viral. By day 2, momentum had collapsed. The Ryder Cup no longer felt like a competition. It looked like a live-streamed emotional breakdown. The tension was thick, heavy, sticking to the air like humidity before a storm. And Scottie Scheffler, the same man who had dominated leaderboards all season, suddenly looked like the face of pure burnout. Paired once again with Russell Henley, Scottie Scheffler went up against Jon Rahm and Tyrrell Hatton, Europe's certified chaos duo. Every Rahm drive sounded like destiny cracking through the sky, and every Hatton putt felt like another nail in America's pride. Meanwhile, Scheffler's shoulders sank lower with every missed birdie, eyes lifting to the heavens like he was bargaining with the golf gods, who'd clearly left the chat. Bradley, on the sidelines, shuffled his lineups like a frantic chef trying to save a kitchen on fire. "The boys really fought today," he told reporters. A smile stretched thinner than belief. But the leaked footage told the real story. Bradley saying the same words to his team. Quieter, shakier, like a captain whispering false hope to a ship already taking on water. "They gave everything," Bradley murmured. "Everything just wasn't enough." That one shot, Scheffler's near-perfect approach on the 10th that lipped out and cruelly rolled away, became the symbol of the entire weekend. So close, so clean, and yet so heartbreakingly cursed. Commentators replayed it in slow motion like it was the Zapruder film of American golf tragedy. Online empathy didn't stand a chance. TikToks of Scottie's misses were cut to sad pop ballads, while Twitter's favorite meme read, "Scheffler putting under pressure, 2019-2025, gone too soon." By the time Europe stretched their lead to 8 points, even the US faithful started cracking jokes. Momentum wasn't just slipping, it was straight up collapsing before everyone's eyes. Momentum had already defected. Luke Donald's strategy looked like chess, every move calculated, while Bradley's felt more like Connect 4 in a hurricane. And the cruel twist, the man he trusted most, his so-called anchor, was the one dragging the whole ship down. As the sun dipped over Bethpage, a fan yelled from the gallery, "We still love you, Scottie." But the look on Scheffler's face said it all. Love doesn't win points. The 15th green should have been just another forgettable moment in a miserable match. Instead, it turned into a full-blown crime scene of pride, pressure, and total implosion. It began with harmless heckling, a few beer-fueled taunts, sarcastic cheers after another missed putt, and then in a split second, Scottie snapped. Cameras caught everything. Scottie stepping back from the ball, jaw clenched tight, eyes blazing toward the crowd. Justin Rose glanced over, Tommy Fleetwood smirked, and Bryson DeChambeau muttered something under his breath, trying to calm the storm, but it didn't work. Within hours, fan-shot videos hit the internet, shaky, raw, unfiltered chaos. One clip showed Scottie mouthing something no one could quite make out, while another caught a European caddy whispering what lip readers claimed was, "He's losing it." The PGA's polished broadcast looked squeaky clean compared to the fan footage lighting up timelines. Bradley tried to put out the fire, telling reporters it was just emotions running high, but in the leaked version, his tone hit different. Softer, heavier, like a man watching his whole plan unravel in real time. "You could feel it," Bradley said softly. "The air changed on that green." And just like that, social media crowned it the green explosion. Golf memes went absolutely feral. One viral edit compared Scottie's meltdown to Kanye's "I'ma let you finish" moment, complete with dramatic orchestra music. Another dubbed it Caddyshack Apocalypse Edition. But beneath all the jokes and chaos, there was something painfully human about it all. For years, Scottie Scheffler had been golf's steady hand, calm, composed, untouchable. Seeing him crack, seeing him feel, left fans stunned. It was proof that even golf's polished world isn't immune to emotional meltdown. The 15th green became more than turf. It became the spot where golf's mask finally slipped, etiquette shattered, and all that perfect politeness just evaporated. The sport that always prided itself on control finally showed its raw, unfiltered nerve, and millions just couldn't look away. When Europe lifted the cup, champagne flying under the harsh Bethpage lights, the American locker room felt more like a funeral than a finish line. The laughter was gone. The swagger was gone. Players sat slumped in silence, their shadows long across the tile, like even the walls felt ashamed. Reporters hovered outside like undertakers, whispering condolences about what had just fallen apart. And then into that cathedral of quiet failure walked Keegan Bradley. Eyes swollen, voice trembling, pure heartbreak wrapped in a golf polo. The moment caught in that leaked clip didn't just trend, it erupted. Social media went up in flames. He wasn't giving a post-match statement, he was delivering a eulogy. Scottie cared more about Russell than himself, he said, choking on every word. He never stopped trying. On paper it sounded noble, on camera it looked like heartbreak. But online, the internet showed no mercy. Within minutes, the clip was chopped, captioned, and turned into digital history. One tweet mocked, "Bro's giving a breakup speech, not a press conference." Another sneered, "This isn't leadership, it's group therapy." And yet, beneath all the trolling, something in Bradley's vulnerability hit people deep. It wasn't polished, it wasn't PR, it was raw, messy, real. For once, a golfer wasn't speaking like a brand ambassador or a stats machine, he was just being human. He was talking like a believer watching his faith crumble in real time. Bradley wasn't mourning a lost trophy, he was mourning the illusion that effort, heart, and loyalty could somehow overpower cold hard math. That golf was still about something purer than numbers and stats. His breakdown wasn't weakness, it was the final breath of belief itself. But of course, the pundits had to jump in. Crying in defeat doesn't inspire confidence, one Golf Channel host scoffed. It makes you look lost. Yet real fans, the ones watching clips at midnight, heard something totally different. They heard pain, honesty, truth. A rare moment of authenticity in a sport that spends millions trying to hide emotion behind fake smiles and polite applause. It was uncomfortable, yeah, but it was real. By the next morning, that leaked video had turned Keegan Bradley into an accidental philosopher. Near the end, his voice cracked but his eyes stayed steady as he said, "Sometimes you lose beautifully, and that has to count for something." That line exploded overnight. Lose beautifully was everywhere. Printed on t-shirts, remixed into TikToks, and splashed across ironic merch drops. It became a tragic mantra for a team that fell short and a poetic reminder that even in failure, there's still art in the wreckage. And when the firestorm refused to die down, when the memes turned to mantras and the internet just wouldn't move on, Keegan Bradley did the one thing no modern athlete ever dares to do. He told the truth, not the polished PR-approved version, not the "we'll come back stronger" cliche, the real truth. Raw, unfiltered, dangerously human. Days after the loss, under those harsh fluorescent lights that made the press room feel more like an interrogation chamber, Bradley stepped up to the podium. His shoulders hung heavy, his voice wrecked from sleepless nights, and then he said the words nobody saw coming. "This is no one's fault but mine." The line dropped like a stone in still water. Heavy, final. Reporters froze, cameras clicked like anxious heartbeats. "I made mistakes in the setup," he continued, voice flat, almost like a confession. "I was stubborn with the pairings. I misread the course. It favored them. It wasn't just accountability, it was an autopsy. The kind of brutal honesty that usually shows up in documentaries years later, not hours after the wreckage. For a split second, golf, the most buttoned-up sport on earth, turned into full-blown Shakespeare. Then came the leak. In one uncut part of that now infamous video, Bradley stared straight into the camera, jaw locked, eyes glassy but unflinching. "I definitely made a mistake on the greens," he confessed. "I thought it would help us. It didn't. No spin, no excuses. Just a man standing in the rubble of his own choices, daring the world to look away. In a sport obsessed with perfection and control, he just committed heresy, and it was absolutely magnificent." The reaction split the golf world clean in half. Some called it bravery. Finally, a captain unafraid to bleed in public. Others saw it as a move, a desperate PR play dressed up as vulnerability, a masterclass in self-pity. One critic even wrote, "He's crying on cue." But the noise didn't matter. For once, golf felt alive again. Unpredictable, emotional, and impossible to look away from. It turned into pure theater, the kind that even casual fans couldn't resist watching just to see what burned next. One columnist called Bradley the Captain Ahab of golf, and another fired back, "Yeah, except this time he's apologizing to the whale." The metaphor stuck instantly. Bradley wasn't just a captain anymore. He'd become a character, a tragic hero trapped in the storm of his own ideals. Even Scottie Scheffler, who'd stayed silent through all the chaos, reportedly sent a private message. "You did what you thought was right. That's all any of us can do." And in that moment, Bradley's confession stopped being about golf. It turned into something deeper, a man wrestling not with defeat, but with the unbearable weight of trying to lead perfectly in a sport built on imperfection. Maybe, just maybe, this wasn't a collapse at all. Maybe it was the start of his redemption story finally taking a breath. Months later, the Ryder Cup leak still refuses to die. What should have been a tiny footnote in golf history, a quick "we'll get him next time" moment, has instead transformed into modern myth. A digital legend about pressure, pride, and one man's public resurrection. It lives online now, looping endlessly through TikTok edits, podcast debates, and ironic Twitter threads. The moment golf stopped pretending to be graceful and finally got gloriously, painfully human. Keegan Bradley's name has become both a curse and a canon. To his haters, he's the captain who cracked under pressure, the man who cried in public and called it leadership. But to his supporters, he's something rarer, a martyr for authenticity in a sport that's allergic to it. Either way, his story refuses to die. He's golf's newest ghost, haunting leaderboards, whispered about in comment sections, forever tied to 3 unforgettable words: lose beautifully. Meanwhile, Scottie Scheffler has chosen silence, a self-imposed exile from the noise. He's back winning smaller events, grinding quietly, dodging microphones like they're water hazards. And every time someone brings up the tape, he just smiles politely and changes the subject. But that silence, the kind of quiet that fuels every theory imaginable. Fans call it grace, pundits call it guilt. The truth? It's probably somewhere right in between. Behind closed doors, the PGA scrambled for dignity, press releases flying like confetti, packed with buzzwords about context, privacy breaches, and learning moments. But the public had already made up its mind. This wasn't about golf mechanics or course setups anymore. This wasn't about golf anymore. It was about the crack beneath the trophy polish. The raw emotion money can't buy and PR can't fix. For once, fans didn't care who won. They cared who broke first. The clip became its own ecosystem, playing on sports bar screens, reaction channels, and montage edits set to sad piano music. People weren't rewatching for analysis, they were watching for connection. That shaky camera, that trembling voice, it became a mirror for anyone who's ever lost something they thought they'd already earned. One viral comment nailed it. Golf finally had its Real Housewives moment, and honestly, we needed it. Maybe that's the real legacy of 2025, not Europe's win, not Scheffler's slump, but the moment golf finally dropped its perfect mask. When a captain cried, a player cracked, and the whole world realized that behind every perfect swing hides the same chaos, fear, and hope as any human heart, golf didn't lose that day, it felt. And in feeling, it finally mattered. What started as a quiet team debrief turned into golf's biggest cultural explosion. A wild story of heartbreak, humanity, and viral downfall. Bradley and Scheffler's saga isn't just about losing the Ryder Cup. It's about losing control of the narrative itself. And in 2025, that's the ultimate defeat. So what do you think? Was it weakness or raw truth caught on camera? Drop your thoughts below, smash that like button, share this with your crew, and don't forget to subscribe to Golf Swing for more stories where even golf can't stay silent for long. See you in the next one.